I get to dip in and out of quite a variety of Muslim communities, and I always think it's one of the strengths of Islam in the West that we have so many bands of the Muslim spectrum available to us. But one thing that I've noticed that most communities have in common now, that certainly Muslims of earlier, more peaceful generations would have regarded as a serious worry, is that people are in a state of agitation. When I became Muslim 21 years ago, one of the things that attracted me and held my attention was the peacefulness, serenity and acceptance of ordinary Muslims. That you would step into a mosque for Jumu'ah prayer and there was a genuine sense that this was an oasis of tranquility, serenity and calm that was a welcome, indeed essential place of rest from the agitations and stresses of people's ordinary lives outside. And although many things have certainly improved for Islam in the West over those 20 years, the thing that I've noticed most conspicuously has been that people are starting to lose that beautiful criterion of Muslimness that is known in the Quranic vocabulary as the virtue of rida. Rida means tranquil, serene acceptance of Allah's will. And it's alarming, I think, that Muslims should feel so agitated, disturbed by the state of today's world. Not that they should approve of today's world. In fact, it would be a worrying indictment of the legitimacy of the religion if the modern world outside were to approve of us. We complain about negative stereotypes and hostility, but in fact that's always been the way of the believers against the uncomprehending outside world. That, in a sense, is a sign of our legitimacy, not something that we should worry and campaign against, although obviously false information has to be corrected. And those religions that are approved of and patted on the head by secular, consumerist, capitalistic modernity are by that very same token really interrogated in a source of worry from the point of view of a legitimate traditional perspective, because true religion is about akhirah, it's about transcending the self, it's not about gratifying or discovering the self, which is the watchword of today's world. So we should be proud that the modern world doesn't like us. That's a sign of authenticity. Nonetheless, it's also the case that Muslims, when they view this incomprehension or hostility from the outside world, don't find solace in the traditional virtue of rida in the way that often we did. We find forms of agitation, we find insecurity, and the necessary consequence of that, which is that instead of being so relaxed that we're forgiving and inclusive and we see the best in everybody, we increasingly judge because the slightest difference between ourselves and the doctrine or the practice of another Muslim somehow makes us feel even more insecure. We want the religion to be an oasis of monolithic consistency that gratifies our sense of insecurity. Now that's very dangerous for communities because the religion itself is supposed to provide a sense of absolute constant assurance and relaxation and serenity that everything that happens is by the will of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is at the core of the Quranic message. It's a necessary consequence of Tawheed that Allah is not just the one who winds up the cosmic clock at the beginning of creation like an 18th century deistic God and just lets it happen. So we have to be profoundly agitated by the vicissitudes of time. Allah is the one who is not just Al-Khaliq but Al-Khallaq. He is the one who is constantly creating at every moment. There is nothing that is not the direct consequence of the divine power. هُوَ الْقَاهِرُ فَوْقَ عِبَادِهِ. He is the one who is overwhelmingly powerful over the actions of his slaves. وَمَا رَمَيْتَ إِذْ رَمَيْتَ وَلَكِنَّ اللَّهَ رَمَى. You did not throw or you did not shoot the arrows when you shot the arrows, but it was Allah who did that. And this is one of the reasons for the extraordinary solidity of Islamic theology, that we don't have a realm of the action of God and a realm that is the realm of some alternative dark force, a satanic force that almost is as powerful as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that the world is a cosmic battle between good and evil. We don't see it in those terms because the message of Tawheed, which is written throughout the Quran, is that there is just one agent in creation.